Hey, what's going on? Barnaby here at Klein Tools, state-of-the-art testing facility. You're thinking, what? Testing facility? I thought they just made tools. No, they make fantastic tools, as we all know, but they also test them. Why, Ephraim? Because if they're insulated, they need to meet certain standards to make sure that they are truly insulated, be it the pliers or a screwdriver. So you guys have, like I said, a world-class testing facility with ANAB accreditation, ISO IEC 17025. I mean, a lot of numbers, a lot of letters. What does that all mean about the accreditation?
Well, the accreditation that we get an accreditation body, which is ANAB, it's a national accreditation board. Basically, they follow that what we say we do are done correctly and to the standard. The two standards that you mentioned are the IEC standard, which is the international standard, and then the ASTM standard, which is the American standard. Those two standards are the same, only slightly different, and we meet both through testing we do here.
So pretty tough to get these accreditations?
Pretty tough to get the accreditation because ANAB watches what we do, watches our personnel that are competent. Basically, they look for one word, which is competence. The competence of the personnel and the competence of our equipment or our tools, and that the fact that we follow the standard to the T.
So in effect, what you're after is you're making sure that the tools you manufacture do the job that they're intended to do, and that is not only the business end, but also the protective end. You are most concerned that if it is insulated, it is going to be always insulated according to the accreditations and standards.
Correct. Following to the standard means that tested once is accepted everywhere. Which means then we have to, the standard that was applied for everybody, when everybody tests it here or somewhere else, it needs to perform the same way. And that's what ANAB does for us, that whatever we test is to the standard that was provided for us.
Okay, and you know what? It's interesting because we're standing in a lab, and I would love to take you on a tour of the lab, and I think we should, right? So get ready because there's going to be some danger and certainly an open flame. Alrighty, before we get to the danger and the open flames, let me explain something about the testing process here at Klein Tools. It's a two-parter. One is a giant vat of water over in Heritage, just a hoot and a holler down the way here. Every insulated tool that Klein makes, be it a screwdriver or a plier, gets dropped into a vat of water that has 10,000 volts coursing through it. Because remember, these are insulated tools. So that is checking the integrity of the insulation. If any breach is apparent, an alarm will go off, and then the whole batch would necessarily have to be scrapped. Part two of the process, it comes over to this lab, and so when the tool comes into this lab, what's the first thing you do, Tracy?
The first thing I do is measure the dimensions, and I check everything to make sure that everything is in place and is on the logo.
Okay, so out of that giant batch that went swimming over in Heritage, you get just a small sampling for even more rigorous testing, right?
Yes.
So now it's past your visual inspection. What's next?
The ambient impact test.
The ambient impact test. I see a hammer right there.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that work?
I place them in here, and I pull the hammer back, and it hits here,
Yep.
and it is tested here. Two
So
points.
you hit it twice.
Yes.
And that's to approximate what? Impact on the job site?
Yes.
Okay, so assuming that it passes that test, what do you do next?
It goes in the freezer.
What's the temperature on that?
Negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so how long does it spend in the fridge?
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay, now it comes out, it's on to another testing station. What happens
Yes,
there?
it goes over there in the water, and it soaks for 24 hours.
Why in the water for 24
That
hours?
no water gets inside the grip. I pull them out of the water after 24 hours.
Yep.
And then I dry them off, and I stick them on do the dielectric test.
Really, that 10,000 volt scenario again?
Yes.
But this isn't just for 10 seconds anymore, is it?
No,
How long does it stay in there?
3 minutes.
And what if there is a problem? How do we know?
The high pot will send a signal, and it will stop testing.
Like there's been a short circuit in the water.
Yeah, red light will come on. Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So then what happens if the tool fails? Because this is just representative of the giant batch that already passed the test
If
across
this
the street.
fails, the batch test fails
Okay,
completely.
so bye-bye tools.
Yes.
Okay, so is there another step in the process?
Yes.
Okay, what's that?
I do the indentation test. There's weights that are set on the grips.
Yep.
And those weights, along with this, are set in the oven for 2 hours.
Okay, what's that thing cranking at the oven?
Okay, 158 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so it's pretty hot in there. And
Yes,
so
sir.
it's sitting there, and what are you trying to achieve there?
Make sure there's no indentation or any kind of cracks or anything gets on the grip.
Okay, so the folks watching the video are like, you promised me open flames. Where are the open flames?
You burn the grip to see if it will drip or any kind of malfunction happens with the grip.
Right. So this would be like the worst day in the life of a tool,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yes.
you could never approximate these sort of torture tests
Right.
in real life, but you want to go the extra distance here to
Yes.
make sure it's still good.
Yes.
Are there any more tests?
I do the pull test before the flame.
Okay, and if it passes, then it's
Then
good to
it's
go.
good to go. They're clear to go out the door.
Wow, that is crazy. Imagine you're buying a tool thinking, oh, these just get popped off the line. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the design and testing of a Klein tool. And thanks for the good walkthrough on that, because I think it's interesting to know when you buy a tool, especially an insulated Klein tool, what sort of tests are there to ensure that it's going to do the job that you're betting your life that it will, and that is insulating you from the juice coming through the wall, a line, whatever, right? So, based on all this great information, you're probably thinking, where do I get more? Well, all you have to do is text Klein to 37527, or you can go Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the social media platforms. Klein Tools is there, as is Tradesman TV, which you're watching right now, and also the Tradesman's Club. So, time for me to take the safety glasses off, get away from the open flames, because my mama said, I'm a clumsy sort. I'm going to get hurt one day, but not here at the Klein Labs, that's for sure.